All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to 88.7 FM, The Edge. You're listening to the very first episode of Hawk Talk with your host, myself, Connor MacPhail. I am a digital media and management major, a senior on the men's volleyball team, and I'm interning with the New Paltz Athletic Department to bring you our very first episode here. And our first guest is Carly Croteau. And Carly, if you want to introduce yourself a little bit like I just did.
Yeah, so hi, everybody. My name is Carly Croteau. I'm also a senior. I'm a part of the women's field hockey team here on campus. I am an early childhood and childhood education major with a concentration in Spanish and a minor in deaf studies. So that's like a little bit about me. I'm from Bayport, Long Island, and that's pretty much it.
Nice. Okay, so let's get into it a little bit. So how are you today? How are things? How are you dealing with everything that's going on in the world, which is pretty hectic?
So as everybody knows, the world is definitely in an interesting place right now, but I think the best way to go about dealing with the whole pandemic that we did not anticipate lasting this long was probably just being very positive with the way in which we handle everything and just take it day by day at this point, because again, tomorrow's not guaranteed. So as long as you just wake up, try to go about your day as normal as possible without any altercations. That's probably the best way and how I've been dealing with everything.
Yeah. And that's a great way to look at it. I know both of us are athletes, and me last year being on the men's volleyball team and our season getting cut short was definitely very frustrating. And coming into this year, you found out that your season got cut or was canceled. I mean, how did you feel about that? Because that's got to be pretty frustrating, and trying to stay positive and do your schoolwork as well. Being it that you're a senior and you wanted to go out on a high note. So.
It definitely was very interesting. Obviously, since field hockey is played in the fall semester, a lot of our pre-training goes on in the summertime, and that already is a mental game in itself because, again, you're responsible and you're trying to hold your team accountable of doing the workouts to make sure you come in prepared as long as your team comes in prepared, ready to conquer your SUNY bracket along non-conference games.
Yeah.
So with that as well, we're finding out different bits of information probably within 2 to 3 week time frames within each other.
Yeah.
So started off everything was normal, and that was what I was hoping for. And then it turned out to be we're going to go back later than we usually would. Now it's then it was, we're not going to be doing any scrimmages. We might only be doing conference play, and everything was, we might,
Yeah.
we may, it might
happen. It always felt like it was up in the air. There was no definite answer.
Yeah, there really was no definite answer until probably about 2 or 3 weeks before we got to school. So it was definitely very late, but it's good to still have the opportunity to be working together as a team on campus.
Yeah, I was about to ask, are you guys practicing? What are you guys, because I know for volleyball, they just allowed us to practice outdoors and stuff, but you guys are in an outdoor sport. So if you can go into that a little bit, what have you guys been up to?
Yeah, for sure. So we've been practicing very similar to how we would be practicing for a spring season. So again, since field hockey, like I had mentioned before, it is a fall semester sport. So we do have a non-official or non-trad season, non-traditional season in the spring. So that's typically, again, 3 practices a week, usually 2 hours at a time. Then we get 1 play day of tournament style. But again, now that COVID happened, everything's a little bit different. We are still doing 3 training sessions a week, and we're doing them in obviously small groups. So there's 2 groups of 10, and then we also have our goalies doing a session by themselves.
Yeah.
They're each run about an hour at a time. So it is really good because, again, a lot of SUNY schools had their sports pulled a little bit earlier than
I know Oneonta, Cortland and stuff. I think they already cut their athletics, and it's not cut, but they're not doing anything.
Yeah, so even the fact that we get the opportunity to go to practice, even if it is only 3 times a week, it's only 3 hours a week.
Yeah.
It's more than a lot of other people have within the SUNY system. So I feel as though that's already getting a competitive edge amongst our competition, both in conference and out of conference.
Yeah. I can relate. It's just nice to finally, go out there and play and stuff. But more about your season and stuff. I know like you guys, the past year, I think you made it to the semifinals. The year before that, you won SUNYACs. Like your first team all SUNYAC the past year, and like the second team the year before. I mean, like, do you feel cut short that you're not going to be able to play this year? I mean, do you have any idea of coming back next year to possibly play for a fifth year? I don't know if the NCAA gave you the eligibility back, but
So yeah, the reason, honestly, that was one of the reasons why I came to this university in particular, because I wanted to be a part of a program that was bigger than myself. And I knew that being a part of New Paltz field hockey is truly not even just a privilege. It's honestly an honor to be a part of the program.
I agree.
And I grant all of my personal success, not to myself, but to my team and all of my alumni that I've played with throughout the years. And I would love to come back and play another season more than anything, because like it feels cut short, but at the same time, a lot of kids, even within any collegiate team, don't have the opportunity to even attend playoffs or win even a conference championship or see NCAA play. So I definitely got a lot out of the 3 years, but my major is a little bit different. I'm planning on going back to Long Island to do student teaching in the fall. That's if everything is kind of more normalized, but
knock on wood.
Yeah, but if things are online for student teaching, then you know for a fact I will definitely be back for another season, because I know right now it's not that I want to play, it's I want to play to help my team be better and perform.
I mean, have you been doing that within your practices and stuff? You still been participating in like these gatherings and like practices that you guys have?
Yeah, so I'm doing things.
Are you taking more of a role of like helping the younger players to get better rather than like looking forward to the next season?
Yeah, so the way I'm going about training sessions now is a little bit different than I normally would. Obviously, if I was guaranteed coming back another year, my major was a little bit more flexible. I'd be attending 3 sessions a week for just regular field player training. So right now I'm doing 2 goalie keeper sessions. So that means I go with the 2 goalkeepers that we have. They're both they're both juniors right now. And so I go with them. Usually it's me, another alumni, or even another senior on my team, a couple other seniors, and coach. So it's just like a smaller group. So it's about 5 or 6 of us maybe, including the goalies. But if I were to come back normally, it would be me attending all 3 field player sessions for an hour. And I do get to go to one of those a week. So that's also really nice too, because I get to see how much goes into the goalies training, which I never really seen before, because again, like I was always a field player. It's never like I had to worry about any of that stuff, but it's really interesting to see how hard they really work and what all the factors that go into their training and how it's so different from ours. But it all comes together when we're on the field together. So it's interesting to see.
It's nice to see all the work put in the off season come together in the real season.
Exactly.
But I know you just mentioned that you're not the realisticness of you coming back next season is probably not going to happen. But what do you think the outcome for next season is going to be with all these players that you're helping out right now? I mean, you guys looked really good last year. I guess that you were just young, but you think they might take that SUNYAC next year? God forbid everything's safe.
I would love to watch them win a SUNYAC title more than anything, because a lot of players, again, at that point, they didn't experience it. So our freshmen last year, I feel like they got cut short because we went and we won a SUNYAC title the year before. So we had high expectations, but not that we never went in with the mindset of, oh, we're going to win a title since we did it last year. It's never that mentality. Every season, each team within the SUNYAC gets significantly better. And I feel like that helps us within our sport, because it makes us not be complacent and always have this hunger mentality. But I would love to see them experience that, because it's truly such a learning opportunity, and it truly promotes to the culture of New Paltz field hockey. Just because we've had so many alumni go to NCAAs, go to the Sweet 16, it's such an unreal experience. And for them, I would want them to experience it more than anything else, because it truly is it's so hard to describe what that feeling is like until you're there. And obviously, you know what that's like. You want national championship.
It's really nice to see all the team's work come to fruition at the end of the season.
Yeah, and just it's cool just going to practice and we do goals at the beginning of every training session. And to hear each player go throughout what they want to accomplish, not even within that season, but within that training session in particularly, and just making them work as hard as they can, I feel as though like I'm doing my job of being there for my quote unquote senior season. But that's what I love to see.
Yeah, I mean, the card we were dealt right now isn't the best, but I'm glad you're making the most of it. I mean, it sounds like you are.
Yeah, it's just truly an opportunity and most importantly a blessing to be at practice and being with my team. It's just because
especially with everything going on. I mean, like, you know, you take what you can get at this point. So the fact that that the New Paltz ourselves are even letting us play, because like I mentioned it before, like other schools are shutting down. So it's very nice that we get to at least do something.
Yeah, and it's just awesome too. Just now everybody is so aware of the time constraint and the basically the insecurities of whether or not we even have practice the next day. So when we're at practice, everybody's all in all the time, and like having that presence both mentally and physically is truly what is going to provide us with the success for the future.
Yeah, and I mean, like our team has talked about it a bunch too, but you know, if we want to have a season, like it's gonna impact our social lives, and like, you know, like we're not gonna be able to do what we wanted to, like previous years. We can't like gather like we used to. So like, you know, the only reason we can really hang out with each other is at these practices and stuff. So those are like the only real reasons we get to like see our teammates and stuff. And outside of that, we have to be super careful with what we do. So being an athlete is very stressful during these times.
I think it's also so important too, because obviously, especially for the freshmen and the sophomore, any other people that are living on campus right now, it's truly such a mental game because it is a bit tighter in there. But it's so crucial and to keep reiterating to those teammates that, again, like, yeah, I might be a senior on the team, but that doesn't mean that you can't reach out to me and ask me if you want to talk or if you need help with something.
Yeah.
Just keeping in that mental health is really important right now because it is very, very limited in there, and it's pretty much almost inhumane. Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah. Gage is a good place.
It is a good place.
To go into the next topic, and I appreciate all your input on that because that was really awesome. But to go into more about you and like what you've been up to. So, I mean, like, how's your quarantine been? Like, after the semester got canceled last year, what have you been up to? What did you do over the summer? Like, what are you up to now?
I'll just tell you like a little timeline of basically.
Like, let's get a little timeline.
So once we found out, once the whole virus thing first started, I remember automatically thinking, I was like, there's no way this is actually real. Like, okay, we'll have like an extended spring break, like right after we'll come back.
Well, it was funny because we had that whole water situation too. And we're like, okay, like it's just another week off.
Exactly. So when that happened, I was like, all right, you know what? 2 week spring break, that'll give me more time along with my teammates to prepare for our spring season because for some sports, I mean, there's preseason, I mean, their spring or their non-trad season, their non-trad season is usually a little bit different, but for us, we keep it very regiment training schedule. We usually run a run test almost every practice, and the training sessions are pretty difficult, so because we do have such limited time. So it's like, you know what? This is a positive because we have 2 weeks to additionally prepare than what we were originally given.
Yeah.
And then once we were home, it was like, okay, we're not coming back. This is a little weird. Mm-hmm. So it was definitely an interesting adjustment for me personally to sit down and do a lot of schoolwork at home because the last time I did that was at that point it was 3 years ago when I was in high school. And now college is a little bit different, especially because like you go to lectures, you don't really have classes much. And now you're home in a house with like the rest of your family. Yeah. And you're trying to go to school. And for granted, you can't do a whole lot. The last thing you really want to do on a daily basis is schoolwork. But
how have you been handling the online school? Because I find it tough.
It's definitely very tough, but I am somebody who's very persistent with my work. So I know there comes times where I have to just go in my room for a couple hours at a time and sit down, do all the schoolwork that I wrote down in my planner, things I needed to get done. But definitely coming from the Spanish concentration side of whole thing, since I'm mostly in classes with a lot of native speakers now. They usually speak the language at home, or they have a lot of practice with Spanish in general. And for me, I definitely would love to be in class just to sit down and hear the language more. Just being in class with those course hours significantly helps me. But a lot of my professors were very lenient. They did a lot of online Zoom lectures. So I was still following that schedule, even though it was a little bit different. But otherwise, school online has been okay. It's definitely really I definitely took for granted going to school in person. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you did. I mean, like I would never imagine myself saying I miss going to in class in person, but I miss going to class in person. I miss like the social aspect, like interacting with your teachers. And now that everything's like interfaced throughout a school, it's very strange.
Yeah,
It's just different. It's like a whole learning curve. I mean, like all of us college students can relate on that, I feel. I mean, I know there's still a couple of people that have in-person classes, but it's just, it's not the same. I think we miss it a little bit.
It's definitely interesting because, again, like that whole in-person, like social aspect, like you just mentioned, again, now that we're online, like one of my professors made us do an activity of like a discussion board, but we had to like post a picture of ourselves, and I was like, oh my God, like that's so weird. But then in reality, I'm like, okay, well, if I was in class, she would see my face every day. So that kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
so the teacher really creative with how they're handling it, and the fact that they're doing it in such a quick time. Within only a couple months, they've already made significant strides within the online learning community. So that's pretty
I feel like people need to give the teachers a little bit more props.
Oh, no.
I mean, it's a tough change for them as much as it is for us. So it's a learning curve for both of us. Frustrating and whatever it is, it's just a learning curve for everybody, like I said.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure.
Yeah, but besides the whole learning stuff, you being the athlete, and like I know for myself, I found it so hard to stay motivated when like especially when this first happened and like all the restaurants were closed and you couldn't go outside and you just had to sit in your room. Like, I mean, I just found it so hard to stay motivated to like stay in shape and stuff. So like what was like your like key thing to like, stay motivated and like looking forward to your upcoming season and stuff?
Well, not to brag, but New Paltz field hockey,
I know.
We love them, but so we found it honestly virtually. We were doing so much, and I personally loved every minute of it. So we kept up with our training regimen schedule. So we do have Volt. I know you're pretty much familiar with Volt, but for those listening that don't know, it's basically an app that we all have on our phones that our university bought out for the athletes, and it has a bunch of workouts on it. And usually there's a bunch of weighted stuff because, again, they presume that you have access to the gyms and all that. But once COVID hit,
all the gyms closed and stuff.
Yeah, so the app actually switched to a lot of body weight exercises. So it's anything, you can really do anything you needed to in your house because you didn't really need anything besides yourself. And we set up regular, 3 times a week, we did Zoom meetings of Volts. So we would all go on Zoom and we'd all do Volt together as if we were doing it on campus like we normally would. So that was also really awesome too because we were able to stay connected. And it was also just fun, just finally seeing your team and like, seeing that everybody's still committed to the program, even though this random pandemic just decided to touch them. But so, and then it was really, really cool too, because we have a girl on our team. Her name is Jamie Wagner. She's currently a sophomore, and she is really into CrossFit. And growing up, she always did CrossFit. So she reached out to her coach and she asked her if she could put together some CrossFit workouts that we could do on Friday. So that was even cool to see us, like an underclassman, take charge and see her and wanting to express her something that she's very passionate about that she knew would benefit the rest of the team. So that also differentiated. That also was something to look forward to too as well, because the CrossFit styles were different every Friday and we would all do them together on Zoom, and like she was leading the workouts. Like it was almost like we were in a class, but like we knew the instructor. So it was really cool. And we also have these groups within our team, so they're called accountability groups. So they're usually about groups of like 4 to 5 players in the groups, and we like text each other about all the workouts we've been doing and extra stuff that wasn't on the workout schedule. So like, for example, since anything was good to do during this quarantine, like going for a walk, going for a bike ride, playing backyard games with your family, that all counted for some points. So we did like a point system, and we made it a little competition within our groups. So that I feel was something that kept the training mentality up, and it was like competitive.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, the fact that you guys were able to like motivate each other like that, even after quarantine and stuff, phenomenal to hear. I mean, that just kind of goes to show like the New Paltz culture that we've built here.
Exactly.
But for right now, we need to take a quick break, but more Hawk Talk next on 88.7 FM, The Edge. All right, welcome back to 88.7 FM, The Edge. You're listening to Hawk Talk. I am Connor MacPhail, and here again with Carly, and we are going to go into some other topics. So besides all that other stuff, I want to go into the past and why you like kind of picked New Paltz. So, I mean, New Paltz is a wonderful place, but go into like how you kind of pick New Paltz out of all the other schools, because I know you were pretty highly recruited field hockey player. So if you can go into that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Not to say I love this question because like we've never talked before about this, but like when recruits ask me this question, because again, we talk to them all the time, but I actually was so worried about picking this school because I came in with the mindset that, oh, it's an art school, like, and I came from a high school that predominantly breeded athletes. Like our community was very, very small, but definitely respected within our school because I graduated with a small class, but I know I wanted to attend to a university that was similar to the high school that I went to, but obviously I wanted differences. So the reason why I chose New Paltz, definitely a couple, but one for starters, again, I am from Bayport, Long Island. So for me to get to New Paltz is usually about like 2.5, 3 hours, depending on the LIE. And if you're listening from Long Island, you totally understand what I mean.
They can relate.
But, so for me, that definitely was one of the biggest things because I was like, all right, you know what, that's pretty much a good distance. Like, God forbid anything happens at home, I could go right back. It's very, very quick for me to get there. Another thing was that I came into school, or I was going into this university with no intention of what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I wanted to play field hockey at a competitive level, and the New Paltz field hockey program had exactly that. I remember coming here and meeting with my coach and her staff, so my assistant and my main coach. And I remember her sitting me down and asking me she asked me a question about Monopoly. And I was like, this is so random. But she was like, how competitive are you? Like, if we play Monopoly, what are you going to do to win? And I said, anything it takes. And for her to like make that outside reference was just like, all right, she's got this humor that like I have, so I need that. I'm not serious all the time. But I also remember looking around, walking through the AWC and noticing how many trophies there were and NCAAs and all that. And I was like, you know what? Like, I want to come to this school. Like, they're clearly not, it's no joke, this athletic program. And like, a lot of people do get the negative mentality, oh, it's Division III, but like in reality, like I would not even place that label or that slogan, so to say, on our university because we truly are so committed and so passionate about what we do. Again, Division III, we're not getting paid for what we're doing, so we're clearly here based on how much we care about our programs, the team's success, and not even your personal success, so to say. So that was another thing for me. And then New Paltz in itself, so a little bit more of the academic side that I was obviously looking at because, school would be fun if it was just sports, but academics do play a role in it. But I came in freshman year and I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I had to go to a school that I knew provided a lot of majors for me to choose from. And I always was considering education, and New Paltz has one of the best like programs within the state. So I was like, you know what, like everything seems right. Let me do it. So, and I'm so glad that I did. Otherwise, because I know for a fact if I went to any other school, I would have been like, I should have went to New Paltz. And it's crazy to think about that. I could remember that process like it was yesterday. And
I mean, you described that with immense detail, like it was yesterday. So. And
it's just so crazy to think, wow, like this is my last year here. I'm going to be like devastated when I have to leave. Like,
that's why this whole pandemic thing is kind of hitting home because like it's just coming in at our senior year, not like it's affecting people in other way, but like, you come in expecting like, senior year to be last hoorah, but it kind of gets taken away. That's why, but
Yeah, you just kind of expected to be similar to what we were used to and what we've experienced before. But you know what? I feel like a lot of us are making the most of
yes, I
what
agree.
we have.
Got to make the most of what's presented in front of us. But that's awesome. I mean, me and you can both agree on that New Paltz is one of a kind, and we wouldn't trade our experience for the entire world. But with that, probably come a bunch of crazy stories. So
Yes.
you mind and telling us maybe some funny stories with your fellow teammates on like a trip or with your coach or something?
Okay. I'm gonna blow up my own spot here.
All right.
But
Whoa. Uh-oh.
So I'm kidding. But I remember freshman year we were doing some sort of live gameplay, whatnot. And I remember we do point system for attack and defense with whatever drill we do, because everything we do is a competition in New Paltz field hockey. So
Yeah.
that's what makes training so fun. But I remember freshman year, like obviously I was new to the program. I didn't really know like what went on. Like I kind of was just like, okay, I'm going to go to practice. Like I'm going to do whatever I have to do.
Yeah.
But we were doing this drill and it resulted in a tie between offense and defense. And I was like, in high school, I was just so used to, like one team won over the other, you would just run. So I was like, okay. So it resulted in a tie. So coach was like, you know what that means? And I was like, we both run, like in the back of my head. So I was like, I don't know.
Like, dang it, I don't want to.
I was like, all right, I'll do it, whatever, fair and square. Nobody won, that's fine. And he was like, dance party. And I was like, what? And I remember, I was like, there's no way this is how they handle things here. And I remember me and Sam Ackerman. So I was on the offensive side, or I don't even know what team I was on, but I remember just looking around at my team. Okay, I was like, all right, so who's gonna go and handle this dance battle that coach just said we're gonna do? And I remember they were all like, Carly, you have to go. And I was like, oh my God, this is literally horrifying. I've been on the team for 5 weeks at this point. And I remember just getting in Sam Ackerman's face and busting it down. And my coach was like, oh my God. And then we wound up winning the competition. So that was definitely one of the weirdest moments I distinctly remember, because I was so brutally embarrassed. But I was like, I got the dub.
It sounds like you got some moves.
You know what? So. Catch me on a good day.
That's awesome. I mean, that's great. I mean, I'm sure you have a plethora of stories in your head, God. But we'll save those for another time. But now I have this little segment. It's called Guess That Teammate. I got some fun facts of your teammates, and we're going to see if you can get that. Before I get into that, I want you to answer this one question. I've been having some, it's the first episode. I came up with the name and stuff, but I think I need a stage name. What do you think I should be called?
Connor Mac Daddy. That's it. Simple.
That's it? Plain and simple?
Yeah. It just flows off the tongue. It's just quick. Gets to the point.
Quick and easy. Okay. All right, so I'm going to rattle off some facts. We'll see how well you know your teammates right now, okay? And God, I will try and pronounce everyone's name as well as I can. And maybe, Carly, you can help me if I say it wrong after, but okay. Other than the DeMacchios, who else is a twin on your team?
I need to think. Oh, Julia Cummings.
Correct. Do you think there's anyone in your life that you could pass as a twin as well?
That I could pass as a twin with?
Like you and someone
Probably
else.
Me and Natasha. I feel like we look similar. But we also just took in a freshman actually from my town, and we look very similar. We're both the same height. We both have blonde hair.
Bayport look?
Yeah, it's the Bayport look.
Okay, next. Who can play the classic Piano Man by Billy Joel on the harmonica?
Kayla Ahern.
Yes. Have you ever heard her play it? I mean, is she good? Is it legit?
So basically, sorry, we're just gonna go out on a whim here, but we had to make a recruiting video. We decided to do a bunch of videos to put out to the recruits, so because they couldn't come on campus during the pandemic. So coach gave us this idea of let's make a video with a bunch of special talents. and Kayla actually recorded herself and like somehow put Billy Joel in the background, like green screen affected it, and she's playing the harmonica of
Wow.
piano. So I haven't seen it live, but like that's
You've seen it on video. I mean, that's pretty close.
yeah, exactly. It was like
If she's listening to this, we're expecting we're expecting it soon, okay?
yeah, definitely.
All right, well, Carly, thank you for being on my very first guest on Hawk Talk. I hope you had a great time.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I had a blast.
Of course. This was a lot of fun, and thanks for everyone for listening to Hawk Talk on 88.7 FM, The Edge.